Hello everyone, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to Live It Up, the show where we explore and discuss how to take your life to that next level and beyond. We cover health, wealth, relationships, and how to create a life that really feels good, because that's actually what we all ultimately want. We want to feel good. I'm your host and coach, Fletcher Ellingson. Amy is out today, so we're going to be taking some time to talk to a gentleman who has ridden the highs and lows and the booms and the busts of real estate for about 30 years, and as a result, is an expert in the space. We'll be talking later on with Russ McClellan from Keller Williams Realty about the wild ride in the space of real estate that's happening right now. So, is it a good time to buy? Good time to sell? Are we in a bubble? Is it going to pop? What's going on? Plus, Russ and I are going to make a cool announcement today about an upcoming event happening this summer, so stick around for the conversation. But before we go any further, I want to remind you that if you have questions that you would like us to answer on or off the air, email them directly to me at fletcher@fletcherellingson.com. You don't need to suffer. There are answers and solutions and ways to get unstuck and move forward powerfully. Now, let's get to today's email. It says, "Dear Fletcher, I'm thinking very seriously about starting up a business. I'm excited about it, and I think it would be good. I would be good at it, and I think there's a need for my services. But I have some concerns. This will be the fourth business I've created in 20 years. One of my previous startups was a big success, and I sold it for a profit. One of the other ones failed, and it cost me a lot of financial stress and emotional stress. And the third one did okay. I don't want to make the same mistakes I made last time. I really want to avoid another financial setback and the mistakes I made years ago. But I really believe in this idea and have already seen some small successes with it. But the sting of losing money and the disgrace of failing in the past feels ever present. Some of my friends tell me to go for it. Others tell me I should be content with what I've got now. Any suggestions? Signed, RS." Hey, RS, first of all, thanks for reaching out. Reaching out for help, advice, counsel is a sign of strength, which means you are strong. I really appreciate you sharing because a lot of people find themselves in this very situation. They're thinking about doing something like creating a business or a relationship or taking up a new hobby. It feels exciting to them. And then these thoughts enter their mind about past experiences that didn't work out. And that stings, right? And just like you said, you got stung and you still feel the sting. So here's what I want to say to you. First off, way to go. Way to follow your dreams and passions. You created 3 businesses in the past. That takes courage and creativity and a lot of grit. And one of them succeeded. You learned something. Hey, one of them failed. Guess what? You learned something. And one of them did okay. You learned something. In all cases, you took action and you learned something and had a rich experience that contributed to who you are today. And that's what I call success. The second thing I want to say is you only feel the sting of those past experiences when you focus on them. Isn't that accurate? You only feel the sting of the past experiences when you focus on them. So my advice is to begin focusing on the things that feel really good, the things that inspire you, the things that are in alignment with the outcome you desire. See, you've been splitting your energy. Think about an irrigation or sprinkler system. The water comes in from the source and it's got a lot of volume and it's got a lot of pressure. And then it comes to that first sprinkler head and boom, the sprinkler pops up and is able to disperse that water easily and powerfully. But as soon as you add another sprinkler to that zone, now there's not quite the same amount of force. And if you add a third or a fourth sprinkler, you can see quickly that the force and volume have been diminished. And this is what it's like with our thoughts. When you think about all the good stuff, all the good stuff that's going well in life, it moves us forward. It inspires us powerfully toward our outcome. But when we introduce thoughts of failure, the what ifs, we begin to worry about what's going to happen, then we're splitting our energy. We split and diminish the flow. We become less focused, less confident, and therefore less effective. So the best advice I can give you is to use the wisdom you've acquired from all those past experiences and then to focus on all the good that's possible if you pursue your passion. So focus on the fact that you are resourceful, capable, and flexible. Focus on how good you're going to feel when you take action and see people benefiting from your services. Keep your thoughts in alignment with your outcomes, and you're going to have a much, much higher chance of creating and attracting the business you envision. Now, RS, I know you can do this, and I believe in you. Hey, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to be right back to speak with a guy who's always thinking about what's possible, Mr. Russ McClellan. Stay with us. Hey everybody, we are back to Live It Up, and we're here with my guest today, Mr. Russ McClellan from
Keller Williams Realty, North Central Washington.
All right, good to have you on the show.
Good to see you, man.
Hey, we always like to start out with what's going well in the world or in our lives or in business. So I remember in 2017, we had a conversation. You were saying, hey, I'm going to be opening up this business. And you had a vision then. Tell us a little bit about that, how that vision has panned out since then, because you guys have been rocking it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I remember that it was right in the park and ride on the way to Omea Gardens or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I remember most is that I think real estate in general was going to change, right? There was a revolution happening. Technology was a big part of that. Reinventing the wheel every day, feeling like every day I'm an island every day for almost 30 years, probably like 25, 26 years at that point, was getting kind of exhausting. And it was moving faster and faster and faster, especially in that realm of tech. Mm-hmm. And so I knew that I needed to change a model, and that really stemmed from, lessons learned, which I call scar tissue, equates to wisdom, right? Like I had to make a lot of mistakes over decades, not years, to get to a point where I wanted to help more people, and that became a mission. And Keller Williams, which is a high volume, meaning we pay out a lot of money to our agents relative to the old model where we keep 50-50.
Yeah.
Old meaning traditional, right? It's not a bad model. It works very well for some people. There's a lot of people still doing it. We took a completely different approach. Keller Williams fit those boxes. Technology advancement. In fact, Gary Keller, the founder, back in 1983, he recently, about 3 years ago, said, we're now a technology company that happens to sell real estate. Now, we can debate whether that's absolutely true or not, but the reality is, I think, as we look around, we're all tech companies in one way or another. We have this little device right here, right?
Yep, you got it.
So we have to embrace that, and he was doing that, and he was also really embracing, win-win or no-deal concepts with his people and looking at his agents in a different light. Where typically in my career, I was a designated broker, I was the owner, you worked for me, I took the risk, I get the profit. Keller Williams is not like that. This is a company for agents, by agents, that profit shares after expenses at up to 49%.
That's a big deal.
With our agents. So it's really, again, for agents, by agents, where we have camaraderie and we allow people to do things like cap at 17 grand for the whole year. So like a 70-30 split. When that 30% hits 17 grand, we cap. So all those things were really intriguing to me. At that time when I met you, I had no idea whether I could pull it off or not.
But it seems like you have.
I think we did.
Give us a few of those stats that we were talking about.
2018, we closed 103 units. 2019, we were at 319 units. 2020, we're at 449 units. And year to date, 5 months, 273 units. And we're now pushing 80 real estate agents. So I think we're going into our third full calendar year. I think we're number 2 in volume across the board, and we're number 1 in agent count by a long ways.
So one of my questions was like, how did you get up to that level of agent count? That's in 3 years or however long it's been since you opened your doors. That's a big gap to get from 0 to almost 80 agents. Yeah,
well, it is always about people, right? Very rarely is it about an individual. I think some of there's a lot of strategic concepts and tactics that people talk about. I often prescribe to this little simple concept about hiring really good people and then getting out of their way. Letting them do what they do.
Yeah.
And giving them that. So get our ego out of it and let's start talking about how do we help people.
Yeah.
How do we help families? When you're motivated by money, that's exciting. Nobody's allergic to it. But one of the lessons I learned before I went broke in the recession and took my lumps is that being inspired by money alone is a scorecard, and your inspiration probably is a fleeting concept. If you are more inspired by how many families you can help this month get into a home, that can be a little bit more sustainable, because it really has an emotional component that triggers you when you don't feel like answering the phone, when you don't feel like getting up and working out. Whatever it may be, when you're thinking about, if I don't do that, I may not be able to help that person buy AAU basketball shoes for their kid as an agent, right, working for me, because that motivates me. And when you surround yourself with people that have enthusiasm and power through the power of others, and when you're down, you have people there to pick you up, that camaraderie, even through COVID. I mean, what a great experiment that we had to go through, all of us. A painful experiment, but at the same time, there's some bright spots there.
Yeah.
You know, so it's exciting.
Yeah, I really love what you're saying. When we tap into our emotions and let those drive us, and if we're focused on what inspires us, right, then we're going to take those actions that are in alignment with the outcome that we want. And that's the kind of the culture that you're nurturing and putting out there with your teams. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I mean, there's an old saying, I think Gary Keller said it, you can recruit people with charisma. I can sell you for a minute.
Yeah.
But you can keep people with culture.
Absolutely. That's the differentiating factor. So really good. All right. So the market is, as you know, wild. We haven't seen this maybe in a long time, if ever. What's going on? What's driving it right now?
Yeah, it's kind of a perfect storm for sellers.
Yeah.
You know, you might be surprised what your home's worth.
Yeah.
You may not want me to tell you, because that may be like, hey, honey, let's go do that.
Yeah.
Then there's a problem sometimes when you sell your home, where do you go, right?
Right.
Because now you're a buyer, and it's a hot market. It's a seller's market. We're down about 75% in inventory from a year ago, year over year. A lot of that is the fact that for the first time in history, technology got to a point, thanks to COVID, I call it the forced tech adoption of COVID, where employers finally recognized that, okay, I don't have a choice now, so I'm going to let you work from home. Mm-hmm. Well, think about where we live. We live in a very beautiful place, 4 seasons, 8,000-foot mountain peaks, rivers, lakes, clean air, clean water, less taxation, less homeless, better weather than 160 miles west of us.
Right.
But there happens to be about 4.2 million people live in Puget Sound. So they were told, you can make the same amount of money and live somewhere else, wherever you want, as long as you get that internet. And you used to have to live in the city to make that.
Yeah.
What do you think that did to demand?
Yeah, that's an attractive offer.
Right, and so when we have, we have 2 things that matter in pricing, supply and demand. It's Econ 101. There's nothing we can do about it. It's, you know, if you have one candy bar and we have 10 7th graders that want to buy that candy bar with their lunch money, what's that candy bar worth,
Yeah,
right?
it just went up.
Just went up. Okay, so here's the thing. We have supply constraints. We have topography issues. We have infrastructure issues. We got to have water, sewer, and power, right? Mm-hmm. We have zoning issues. We just can't go do what we want. A lot of zoning is 20-acre minimums, 10-acre minimums. Again, nothing wrong with these things,
right,
but these are supply constraints, which money alone can't change, right? And that's a good thing. That's how you have smart growth. That's how you have planned growth. Now, when people complain that they're, you know, these people are causing the problem, that's one side. It's not, do you blame them? I mean, let's look in the mirror and say you don't like where you live. Because if you're saying that, then that's hypocritical, right? Like, I mean, you live in a beautiful place. Unless we start putting tanks at the borders of our town, you know, I don't think we're going to stop people. We never have been able to stop people. So you have a lot of people moving for the first time. I know in Chelan, where I'm at, Leavenworth specifically, but it's now bleeding into everywhere in every rural area in the country. The people that used to have to live in the city can now live in the country.
So, oh shoot, we need to go to commercial. I'm going to save this question for when we get back. Stay with us. Hey guys, welcome back to the show. We're here with Russ McClellan from Keller Williams Realty. We're talking all things real estate, and we're about to make a big announcement too, so stay with us. But first I wanted to ask you, Russ, are we in a bubble? Is it about to pop? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, just to it's a good segue question, you know, from the last episode, supply and demand, right?
Yeah.
We've increased supply exponentially because now you can buy a primary residence and keep your job. Where before we were selling to second home retirees and investors in like the tourism areas of Chelan County and Leavenworth, or Chelan in Chelan County and Leavenworth in Chelan County. Now it's a different market, right? So the question is the market going to, well, that's a good question. I have a radio show, Home Sweet Home. I had an instructor at the University of Washington on a show last month. He has 2 economists in the University of Washington master's degree program in real estate. They have completely different opinions on what's going to happen. So I'm not here to say as a realtor that I know. Yogi Berra is one of my favorite people, right? And he says predicting things is very, very difficult, especially about the future. So here's what I think. I think we live in a pretty good place. A friend of mine in Seattle told me, I was having dinner in Duke's last July, 2020. I go, man, everybody's moving from the west side of the mountains to the east side of the mountains. Seattle's pricing must be going down. He goes, oh, you're a little boy. You live in a little town. He's like, nah, I feel sorry for you. And basically his point was, he said something very, very powerful. He said, Seattle is a little city and the world's a big place. So how many people in India, Russia, China, and across the world, in Europe, Asia, know what Microsoft is, know what Amazon is? So that Space Needle has a lot more power than we think. So as we think locally that there's a lot of people coming here, the Northwest is powerful, and Seattle's a powerful city, and it's a big world out there that everybody can move around in now, right?
Yeah.
So I think to that respect, when you live in a beautiful place, there seems to be, with very tight supply constraints where we can't keep up, then there's always that demand pressure. Yeah. Right? But again, I was the same guy that got his butt kicked in 2008. So, I thought 2007 never end.
Next time we need to have a show all about the lessons that we learned and how we learned those lessons.
Man, we need a couple hours.
So, all right, let's talk about what's coming up this summer, because I know you're excited about it. I'm excited about it. And we're both passionate about this concept. In a nutshell, give us the 30-second version. I've heard you say this before. Companies, ever since the birth of companies, we've been doing some things backwards, and especially in our real estate industry. Speak to that, please.
Yeah, my 30 years, I've trained a certain way. Most people have trained a certain way, and that's tactics and strategies. No matter what job you go to, that's what you learn. If you're punching widgets, you're punching widgets, and here I'm going to show you how to do it. In real estate, what I've realized, and maybe the COVID virus unlocked this to more of an intense degree, but that we're teaching tactics and strategies ahead of mindset. So for example, one specific example, if I say, hey, Fletcher, if you lead generate 3 hours a day and do appointments 2 hours a night, you'll make $75,000 a year. Here's what you do. Here's all you have to do. Just go door knock and cold call, and this will be great.
Sounds easy.
Yeah, you'll fail 95 out of 100 times, but don't worry, that 5 is going to be great, and you're going to make $75,000 a year. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Okay, and then what really happens is you go to about number 20 doors slammed in your face for the 30th call that you make, and somebody says, don't ever call me again or else.
Yeah.
You're going to go, man, this must be something wrong with me.
Yes.
I have always been a loser. I'm not capable, like you always say. I'm resourceful, capable, and flexible. I'm none of those things. It must be me, because Russ made it sound so easy.
Yes.
Okay, so we have strategies in front of mindset. Why have we been doing that?
Right.
I'm going to change that, at least at our firm.
Yes. So, perfect segue. Let's talk about what's happening at the end of July. It's July 31st and August 1st. Russ and I are going to be putting on a seminar at the Coast Hotel right here in Wenatchee, in our own backyard. And we're inviting you, if you're in the real estate space, and what are all those industries connected to the real estate space?
Yeah, affiliates to real estate, like mortgage brokers, title companies, escrow companies, inspectors. If you're thinking about getting into real estate, if you're at a real estate company already, it has nothing to do with Keller Williams directly. I just believe in this so much that I want to help people with your program. I've been coaching with you now. I've known you for a very long time, decades. But I've been coaching with you intimately for about 8 months, and it's a game changer. So I'm thinking, well, why don't we take some of the things I've learned in three decades, and I'll get specific, and I'll get vulnerable, and I'll tell you the truth. I've hit the wall at 80 miles an hour or 800 miles an hour. I can't remember. I'm still shaking from it.
Yeah.
It's not easy, right? And picking yourself up is not easy. And there's some things that you've taught me about that, on how to interpret our own thoughts, how to feel about how we're feeling. Those are the things I'm excited about, and we're going to do it. You're worth a lot of money. I don't know if you guys know this, but he coaches internationally. He's got clients all over the place. He could probably charge for Fletcher's stuff alone a lot of money, Like, if we were going to go to Seattle, he'd get thousands, not hundreds. I think we're going to do it for $149.
Yeah, it's $149 to come to this 2-day seminar where we're really teaching you how the mind works. Because if we can help you reprogram your mind, basically rewire your mind and your nervous system, instead of having to shake and stuff when you get rejected or fearful of making those calls or fearful you're going to look bad or screw up, really feel confident and be able to navigate life in your business with from a place of confidence and ease and joy and enjoyment, right? That's worth a lot.
Yeah, I mean, the art of feeling good is what you always talk about. And at the end of the day, we don't have to feel bad, and we all feel bad, right? It's an infinite level of work that can be done, but it's not hard stuff. It just is, it's simple, right? We know what we know, right? I know my name. I know what I don't know. I'm not a brain surgeon. These are the two components that I am sure of. The problem is about 90% of the other stuff, I don't know what I don't know. So how can I even ask the questions?
Exactly. So this seminar is going to be dealing predominantly in that space of what I don't know, I don't know. These are what we call blind spots. And those blind spots are back here. And if you turn this way, the blind spot's still here. You turn this way, you can't see it. So at this seminar, this 2 days, that we're going to take the time to reach around, grab those blind spots so we can actually see them, and it may be the first time you've ever seen this. Now, once you have that knowledge, once you see oh, that's what's running my decision making, now you have an opportunity to interact with it in a completely different way, create new beliefs around it, which are going to give you access to new actions and therefore access to new results.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, our vision at Keller Williams, and just a personal vision as much as anything, I want to help as many people as I can. Right. I want to help you get the life that you want, the life you deserve, using real estate as the vehicle to do that. And if we can help each other interpret one another's thoughts and feelings and just kind of start to understand the game that we don't know a little better, I think it's going to be, I can promise you this, you will be changed.
Yeah. And once you have that mindset, then you'll have access to implementing all those strategies, right? And it is a game changer. And this is not about competition. There's enough for everybody. So join us. You can email Russ or call. What's the phone number there?
You can call 888-0038. That's area code 509-888-0038. Or my email is russ@frontlinechelan.com.
Excellent. All right, we're just about out of time. Thanks for being on the show, Russ.
My pleasure. I'm excited.
Yeah, and now you know what it's time for. It's time to get out there, be a source of kindness, be a source of contribution. You do have something to offer this world, and I believe in you.